back to the BHAW Army Wrestling Radio Show. Once again, we are joined by Coach Ward for the weekly Ward wrap-up. What's up, Coach?
Hey, man. What's going on? It's Tuesday night. I'm sitting in my dining room looking at the laptop, which means it's BHAW radio time. It's
right.
It's always good to be with you guys. How you guys?
Good. For a second, I thought this was Ward's wind down. You finished your glass like 2 seconds ago, though.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, kind of winded down here at the end of the day. But yeah, man, wrestled this past weekend. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. And we got another one coming up soon against Bucknell coming up this weekend. So hopefully, you guys got some questions too. Love talking about the team. Love talking about the guys. And anything else anybody wants to hear, man? Let's talk some Army wrestling.
Well, let's jump right in. So Binghamton, 23-10. So definitely some close bouts in there. Some bouts we were in, some bouts that kind of got away from us. Give us your overall thoughts, and then I guess we can go through some of the specifics.
I mean, I guess my overall thoughts really haven't changed since walking away from the dual meet, really. I've had some performances over the past, 7 years here at West Point and a few years before that as a head coach at another program where you leave a dual meet and you just really just don't like it at all. I said after the dual meet, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed for our program, embarrassed for our fans, embarrassed for anybody that's, paying enough attention to our program to listen or watch this show. And I mean it. I mean, it was an embarrassing performance. Really, from me and the coaches, really, it was embarrassing the way we had our guys prepared, which was not very well at all. So, I think our team's a lot better than we showed in that dual meet. Now, Binghamton has a good team. We knew that. But we helped them out like way too much. If you're going to beat a pretty good team, you can't give them that much help. We helped them out a lot. My thoughts coming off the dual meet were supposed to be a lot better fighters than that. We didn't show exactly, how much fight our program should have. I think, it's a dual meet I don't want to forget just because I think that when you hold on to some certain things coming off a performance like that, it can help you be better. But I certainly don't want to relive it. I know that we had some good performances. We had some guys that showed some promising things, but you look at 10 bouts overall and the team score at the end and the way that the team score kind of happened, it didn't sit very well. So, when I say like, I didn't like it, I don't think anybody associated with our program liked it, and especially the 10 guys that stepped out there on the mat, they didn't like it either. So, it's a dual meet that happened, and we got to kind of recognize why it happened and start correcting those things and move on to better performances.
I think that's a fair assessment. I figure you kind of go from the perspective of it's not necessarily the result. The result matters, but it's how you get to the result. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that a lot, and we've been talking about it, this week and ever. I mean, our training, we competed on Saturday. Yep. Our training was at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. And we've been talking about it since. It's, it's not about just, whether you win or lose. It's how you do one of those things. And we've had guys, I used Trey Shalafu as an example today, actually in practice that, Trey dropped a match at our tournament last year. A lot of people remember this match in the finals where Trey went down pretty big early in the match and like stormed his way back and just ran out of time. Like 5 or 6 seconds left on the clock. He comes back from a big deficit and wins the match. If you are going to drop a match, that's the feeling you have to have when you walk off the mat. It's like, I just ran out of time. Like I didn't get beat. I outfought him. I just ran out of time. If you're going to take a loss, that's the way you got to do it. And if you're going to win, you want to win by the biggest margin possible. So if you can beat somebody by 15 points and you only beat them by 2, then that shouldn't feel very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think JT, I think you're right. I think most of it is we just didn't have, a dominating mindset, and where we won, sometimes we looked good, but I think we could have separated scores, and those tight matches that we lost, I think we lost them because we weren't focused on dominating the match. We were thinking about winning it. And when you just think about winning, sometimes you leave things up to chance. So a couple of those matches got away from us late, didn't feel good. So yeah, I think it's when you look at your performance, the performance, didn't lead to the results that we wanted. So it's how you won or lost that we're thinking about, and that's the way we competed, probably not the way that we should represent our program.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I mean, it didn't. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, is how like, after the match, like, why you get?
I mean, I know, B-Roll, I know you're a tough critic, man. So like, I haven't talked to you since the duel.
No, the worst part about it was like Sunday. I wake up and I know, I watched it. I know everything that happened. I get to see Steve Middich, sharing everything on Facebook about dominating victories over Army. I'm like, I'm getting it from every angle here. I wasn't expecting it.
That shit is the worst. And I see it too. I mean, matter of fact, like I printed every Facebook or Twitter thing that I saw on Saturday night when I couldn't sleep. Like I don't think I slept. So I got in the office early on Sunday morning. I printed all of it off. I screenshotted it, emailed it to myself, printed it all off, and hung it up all over the wrestling room. And just as a reminder, like, look, these are people celebrating on us. Like, this is a big deal that they kicked our ass. At least they think it's a big deal. We should probably think it's a big deal too, that we got beat up like that. And then we tore them down. We worked out and said, all right, enough of it. Like, if you're sick of looking at this, take it, wad it up, throw it in the trash, flip it to Bird on its way down, and move on. But yeah, it's not fun. And I've been on the other end. Like I've celebrated publicly some wins, so I get it. Good, whatever. Good for them. Happy for those coaches and athletes. They get to get that feeling. I would much rather it be us. Yeah. But it wasn't. So it's nothing personal. Like, I'm not mad at them for celebrating. They should celebrate. It is a big deal to beat up Army like that, and we got beat up. So that's our focus. We just can't let that happen again.
There's probably not a mic'd up with Coach Ward after that from that match coming out.
I mean, it wouldn't. Not that it was very good coming off of Hofstra. We have a really fantastic media team to kind of chop that up and put it together. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a performance that we really liked. And there were some great moments. Like, we showed some flashes of like, okay, these guys can compete, but overall, yeah, it's not something you leave feeling really good about. But we can go weight by weight if you want to talk about the individuals on the team, however you guys want to do it. I mean, I'm happy to kind of run through, my analysis of each individual or stick to the match as a whole.
Yeah, let's go. Let's just go 25 up. But before we do that, we just got to put a public, disclaimer out there that it's time to cancel Billy Baldwin.
Done, right? Yeah. I mean, I've never followed the guy anyway, and that, I love what he's done for wrestling. But no, man, like, I would have celebrated too, So whatever. I'm not so sure that 5 years ago, beating us would be worthy of a celebration. And now it is. So that's like, hey guys, wake up, like, you've got to be ready. So listen, Ryan Chauvin, 125 pounds. I mean, did you see that first takedown he got? He defended a shot.
He didn't wrestle for the last 6 minutes. It was like he just shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it looked like. It's probably more nuance than that. There's more to it than that. I mean, he had a really nice counter to a cradle, executed, and just couldn't finish the cradle. Probably a little mental mistake, not probably. A mistake at the end of the first period, cutting the guy loose without much of a challenge, with like 15, 20 seconds left. But then if you watch I think we were on top in the second period. Like, Ryan put a hard ride on the guy. Like, he's good on top, and you could see that in the match, but just didn't sustain it. So what Ryan's got to work on is just sustaining, that level of intensity without the gaps in between. I mean, he is 100% capable. I mean, the kid is really good, really talented, very skilled, and when he wants to be, like, really scrappy. What happened was his mind just kind of wandered, went to the wrong spot, and instead of continuing to score, he kind of protected a lead. At the end of the match, I mean, did he have an escape? Did he not? Like, it was really close. We had a second official there, and that was the one time the second official got involved in the entire duel meet, was that one call. Every other obvious way he could have been involved in the duel meet, he was like a spectator. Like, why are you here? It was terrible. But anyways, I mean, Ryan showed that he's really capable. He's just got to put a full match together. Kid is super skilled, it's just got to put a full match together. That's it.
You attribute that mostly to just youth and experience, or?
I mean, the guy's experienced, you know. He comes from one of the top high school programs in the country. I think it was just a mental thing, you
Yeah.
know, that just got to work on remaining focused on the right things throughout the match. That's it. He's mature. He can handle it. He's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder anyway, and like a little bit of an attitude, which I don't mind at all.
Love
It's
it.
just about let's make sure we channel that, you know, in the right way. So he's going to get more opportunities to compete, you know. So you know, if he responds the right way mentally, we're going to be just fine at 125 pounds because he's really good.
Yep.
How do you guys, as like a coaching staff, like do certain coaches get involved with like that mental preparation to kind of make sure that his mind's right? Like, how do you go about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the idea. Yeah, and there's always, you know, with each athlete, there's usually one coach that's the most involved. And yeah, and I mean, honestly, we've got to do a better job of it. And I think that showed. Like, we've got to do a better job of getting our guys mentally prepared to step out onto the mat. It's different when you walk into dual meets than it is tournaments. You know, usually when you go into a dual meet season, you're pretty familiar with your guys because they've had 15 matches at tournaments. You know, this year's a little bit different. So we've just got to be a little bit sharper as coaches and making sure that our guys get what they need to be ready. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that aspect. You know, you just having that much, you know, tournament experience before it. So like, it's got to be very taxing as a coach to like not have that, you know, not know your wrestlers that well going into the dual meet season.
It's different, especially, you know, because, you know, we coached Trey Shalfu at 125 pounds for 4 years and know Trey pretty well. And then somebody new steps in, but Ryan's not new. It's his third year in our program, but it's still a new face in the lineup, right? And you don't know him quite as well yet. So, yeah, that's a challenge. But listen, it's a challenge everybody's dealing with. We just got to step up, you know, as coaches and athletes and do a better job of it. But yeah, I mean, as you look through 133 pounds, if you saw that, I mean, well, we ended up losing by 5. We gave up a 6-point move at the last 8 seconds of the first period. Had the guy on the edge. Mark really pressured the guy the whole time. Pressured him to the edge, kind of Mark shot, you know, hoping to drive the guy out of bounds. Didn't work, and Mark stopped wrestling, and the guy headlocked him. Like, we knew we're like, Mark, the guy's got one move. He's not, you know, the guy you're wrestling is not extremely dangerous except for one position. He'll headlock you out of anywhere. And he did, you know, and the frustrating thing about that is, like, we worked it, like, even the day before, like, this is coming. And Mark just kind of fell asleep there, you know, and his intentions were good. Like, he was trying to wrestle hard, just made a mistake. But let me tell you, like, Montgomery is a hard worker. And he might be Jersey and he might not look blue collar, but the kid's kind of like blue collar tough. Like, he's going to figure it out. There's no doubt. He can take it. You can be honest with him. He can handle it. He doesn't break down in tears. He doesn't tell you that, you know, you don't like him and you're out to get him. Like, he can handle coaching, so he's going to make it. You just got to continue to build his confidence and clean some things up. But he's a hard worker, responds well, stays excited to train. So he made a mistake, came back, and Mark had a cradle locked up in the second or third period, just didn't get aggressive enough. You know, he had a chance to put the guy on his back and kind of hesitated, and it got away from him. But, you know, he's a guy that if we can continue to develop and he keeps his mind in the right place, Mark's going to be just fine.
I can't tell if he's just a little on the smaller side or if he's just really tall.
He's a little tall and lanky. He's not small.
Yeah.
He's not small for 33. He's a little bit taller. He's got a kind of a wiry frame, you know.
Yeah.
He's got good speed, though. He's really quick, and he's just, you know, he's going to figure it out. Yeah. 41, you know, we decided to wrestle Logan Brown against Lane's wrestled and split matches with him in the past, and Logan came out really aggressive, just like he did the week before. Hesitated on his finishes. I mean, this Trampy kid is tough, and he's a strong wrestler too. Like, he doesn't like, he's going to wrestle the whole time.
Yeah.
And we get in on a shot early on and kind of hesitate on a finish and give up, you know, mousetrap tilt. We're down by 6. Like, look up and you're down by 6, and then kind of spiraled out of control from there, to be honest. I mean, I think Logan was in on the legs a few times, didn't make the adjustments he needed to finish. Trampy's good, you know, and just the match kind of spiraled out of control.
Then at 49, I mean, there's not much else to say on 41, but at 49, we wrestled Corey Shy. PJ was off this week.
Mm-hmm.
He gets a win in overtime. So,
Yeah, I mean PJ was out, but he's back, and we expect to see PJ competing this weekend against Bucknell. But I mean, listen, like if PJ's out and you have to put Corey Shy in, you feel pretty freaking good about putting Corey Shy out there on the mat. I mean, we've been with, this is Corey's 4th year in the program and know him really well and like trust him completely. And if you notice that match, you'll see what I love about Corey so much. It's like it was anything but pretty. Like I don't think Corey touched the guy's legs. The guy was in on his legs like 20 times. But I mean, the guy was backing up, club and shoot. Corey would walk him down. The kid's backing up. So Corey couldn't really shoot on the kid because the kid was just backing up. But Corey gave up his legs a little bit too easy. But here's the thing about Corey Shy. The dude is a competitor. Like he will not ever drop his head and give up a match, ever. He may get beat. It's happened, right? He may be out-wrestled, but he will never just concede. And you saw that in that match. Like the guy was all over his legs, and Corey just refused to give up a takedown. Like scrambling, fighting. The dude is a competitor. So it wasn't pretty, but at a time when we needed somebody to step up and like punch back and turn the tides a little bit, Corey, it wasn't pretty, but the dude competes and he found a way to get a win. I think it was in overtime too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Was that like the decision to put Corey instead of PJ was like, was it a COVID thing or an injury thing or just like maybe pitch count,
Yeah, no, I mean, it was like, PJ was just a little bit banged up and nursing something that couldn't be, could have wrestled, but, probably he's going to have the matches that he needs, the match count by the EIWA tournament. So it wasn't that. It was just like, okay, maybe, he needs another couple days to be back and be on the safe side. So he'll be back. He'll be wrestling against Bucknell, but nothing major. But like I said, we feel really good. Like if PJ has to sit out or goes down, we got Corey Shy to step in. You feel really good about, having those two guys in your lineup.
Yep. Studs on the bench is always a good problem to have.
Yeah. I mean, the depth is something that we've needed. And if Corey's watching it, he's not going to like it, being called a depth guy, and that's what makes him so good. It's like, he's going to keep battling. He thinks the spot should be his. I'm with him. Great. It should be yours. Go earn it, and so, yeah, he's not going to concede the spot. He's not going to concede anything. That's just the type of person that he is.
Yeah. Then you move on to 57. Army's on the board now. Marcus goes out, gets a major.
Yeah, I mean, Hartman came out and looked really good, like aggressive early on. And this is what I'm talking about. What's the assistant official doing out there? I mean, the guy grabbed Marcus's hand, like, what was it, like 10 times in the match, And the ref finally stepped in at the end and called like a stalemate or something. Like, I don't know. But we're like, you get off the guys, get off Marcus. Marcus had to use his knee to club the guy's hand, to get his hand free. Hit nice single legs, had good finishes, rode hard on top. I don't think got any turns. Was close, but listen, the guy they sent out there, his job was not to get pinned. He didn't get pinned. Good for him. But I thought Marcus competed, so much better than the week before. And not just in the match. I'm just talking about like attitude and everything leading up to it. Like you could tell when he went out there, like he was excited this time to be on the mat, which I'm not sure we saw the week before. So that was good.
Then we move on to 65, Bo Guffey.
Yeah, 65 and 74 were kind of like, kind of the same match where it looks like we're out wrestling the guy. We're out wrestling and out maneuvering our opponent pretty much the entire match. And, something happens and you just find a way to not win it, and that's not a nice thing to say. And that's not a nice feeling to have as an athlete either. It was just, we got to be able to get those escapes. When it comes down to it and you got 20 seconds to get away to win a match, you need to get away. That's the bottom line. Credit them. They rode hard. Same thing at 74. I think another kind of weird call, like Brad's hand got caught in the guy's singlet. The guy's hand got caught in Brad's headgear. And the ref called us for grabbing the singlet, And Brad's like, I'm trying to get my hand out of there. I can't get it out of the singlet. It was incidental. And the ref said, well, that's the rule. I have to call it. I said, that's not the rule. Like, you can just blow the whistle. You don't have to give a penalty point. No, that's the rule. I have to call it. So it's obvious that, these officials haven't worked in a while, right? I mean, they're really rusty. Even the weekend before when we had a really good official, he was pretty rusty. This week, the official wasn't great. and he didn't have a very good performance. It didn't cost us the dual meet, don't get me wrong. But like things like that, you're like at 57, not calling the stalling on the other guy, grabbing the hands at 74, like giving a point, the guy's hands in our headgear, our hands in his singlet. He needs to sharpen up before the IWA tournament just as bad as our team does. So, but I mean, it wasn't pretty. We didn't like losing a match like that. Brad didn't like it. So yeah, we have some work to do there.
84. I mean, that dude's a brute.
Their guy's like really good, really good.
I see he fought. He wrestled tough out there.
Hard, you can't afford the lapses that he had against a guy like that. You can't afford to break your stance, stand up, and let the guy come in on your legs because he's going to finish.
Yeah.
Especially when you're somebody like Taylor Brown that wrestled 157 last year, and you're up at 184. It's like, listen, man, you can't give up anything. But I mean, we're really like proud of Taylor for his attitude, the way he's battling. And if he didn't hesitate there late in the third period, he gets a takedown there at the end. But he got to the guy's leg deep, and I think it was kind of surprised. He's like, oh, wait, I'm in here on the legs, and kind of hesitated. But Taylor's wrestling really hard. And talking about Taylor Brown, I think the one thing that we're most like excited about with him right now is like he went from being, a guy on the team that's constantly working his way up, to now he's like a vocal leader on the team. I don't think there's one day in practice over the past couple of weeks where he hasn't spoken up, and said like, we can do this better. We've got to focus on this. Like he's really become like a vocal and a visible leader on the team. So that's what's really cool. We want to see him wrestle. We want to see him win, but seeing him step into kind of like a leadership role, like he could be another team captain today, so that's cool to see out of Taylor.
JT gets a win, 9-3 decision.
Yeah, and that wasn't a big improvement because I know how hard JT's been working on a couple things that maybe don't show. They're not huge yet, but if he keeps working on his focus every day and keeps improving the way he's doing, like these results are going to show in the end. And I know how hard JT's been working on a few things, and they showed in the match. Like I said, you're not going to like notice if you're just a casual fan, but JT got taken down. He got an escape and immediately turned and attacked. Took the guy down, rode him out. Like immediately attacked after he got an escape. So he got scored on. He got an escape. He didn't have to regather his thoughts. He didn't have to like settle his mind. He just turned and attacked. We want to see that out of him. And then so it stayed a pretty close match. And then late in the third period, he got 2-3 third period takedowns. That's what you want to see out of JT. Is like be willing to separate the score because you're good enough to do it. So yeah, that's an improvement for him for sure.
He's a guy that seems pretty consistent with his performance, not just in result, but the way he does it. What's it take for him to like be a top 10 guy instead of like a bottom 20 guy?
Yeah, and I mean that's what I keep telling him. Like 18th can't be good enough for you anymore. And if you're going to break and be consistently in the top 10, have a breakthrough, it's going to take dominating performances. When you're supposed to dominate somebody, that's the attitude you need to have. And if something happens and it turns into a dogfight, you're going to win it. But if you don't have that dominating attitude and it turns into a dogfight, then maybe you win, maybe you don't, So he needs to just focus on just being aggressive and scoring points. I think, that guy was still able to slow him down quite a bit. If you watch the match, they spent a lot of time like right here and not moving, As the match went on, JT was feeling more confident, able to open up a little bit, and that really helped. So we need to see more out of that, or more out of him, in that aspect. It's like he's a leader on the team. He's one of our highest ranked guys. Like we need him to show that and need him to lead the way. Absolutely.
Then we cap it off at heavyweight. That one just kind of spun out.
Yeah, it's just bizarre, man. Like I haven't Ben Sullivan. This is Ben's 4th year in the pro. I've never seen that out of Ben. So you just kind of like, listen, Ben's an awesome guy, like awesome kid. You would take a team full of him, works hard, wants to win. So I'm not going to be too critical on Ben Sullivan because I know how bad he doesn't like, like he doesn't like that result. He doesn't like the performance, but I haven't seen that out of him ever.
It's definitely out of character, but I think that's probably what like spurred on maybe some of like Binghamton's reaction and their celebratory response.
Shit, I'd celebrate too if I had a backup 97-pounder beat the 16th ranked heavyweight in the country. I'd celebrate. I mean, that kid that wrestled him is like, he's a backup 197-pounder. You know, like, you know, not even close to a heavyweight. So I'd celebrate too if I was them. You know, that's not a knock on them. I'm saying I would celebrate. Ben knows that. Like, Ben's a smart kid. He's not a kid. Ben's a smart guy. He gets it. But yeah, I don't read too much into it because I know who Ben Sullivan is. I know the kind of worker he is. I know how bad he wants it. It was just bizarre. Haven't seen that out of him. We're not going to see it again. I'm confident in that. So that's one of those you're like, kind of scratch your head. You're like, man, that was like, I don't know who that was out there, but that wasn't the Ben Sullivan we've been used to the past 3 years. So, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, whatever. It happened. I don't want to forget it. You know, like I said earlier, we don't want to forget, but I don't want to relive that either.
Yeah, definitely a blimp on the radar, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. Like, wrestling it's such a great sport because it forces you to, like, confront yourself, you know. And you guys know this. It's like whatever happens out there is on you, you know. And I don't have to tell Ben that. He knows it, you know, and he's going to own it, and he's going to say, okay, never again, not happening. So just see guys get back to work and stay motivated. You know, blip on the radar, whatever you want to call it, it happened, and it needs to be like, okay, not again. And that's got to start now. Like, I'm not waiting till I get in the wrestling room on Monday. Like, mentally, never again, you know, starts now. So no complaints at all, and no concerns on how, you know, Ben and the other guys have responded to it. They're going to be all right.
So looking ahead, kind of, you know, Bucknell this week, you know, what's the scouting report? What are you guys looking forward to? You know, they got 2 ranked guys.
Okay, you tell me. You guys usually get the scouting report before I do. So what are we looking at?
Well, we just saw, I mean, I don't know the specifics, but we saw, you know, they got a ranked, you know, highly ranked 165, ranked number 7, and then the 33s ranked 18.
Who's that, Miller?
Yeah, Miller at 33 and Hartman at 65.
So we're familiar with both of those guys. You know, Kel and Luke Weiland have both wrestled Hartman. A lot of respect for him. I mean, he's not a guy that does like a ton, but what he does really well. He's a handful. Yeah, there's no question about it. Like, it's going to be a tough bout. Their 33-pounder, we wrestled him last year too. And he's skilled. Like, you know, that kid is good too. So we got to be ready. But I'm telling you, they're probably a better team, like skill-wise, talent-wise, or a better team than Binghamton. Binghamton did a good job of, like, fighting really hard. But you know, I think Binghamton or Bucknell's maybe a little bit more skilled. Those guys are pretty talented. They can wrestle. So you got a surprise guest here.
What's up, buddy?
Holt coming on the show.
Yeah, Holt needs to be going to bed. That's what he needs to be doing. Yeah, so I mean, I haven't looked through all 10 matches of what's going to go on, but they're a talented team. They're going to be well coached. They're going to fight hard. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a challenge for us for sure. But at the same time, like, I expect a different Army wrestling team to take the mat, you know, this weekend than we saw last weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Bucknell traditionally, a lot of PA guys usually on their squad. For some reason, I always feel like they're pretty built, like stout guys, like really strong.
Central PA.
I don't know if I would attribute it to that, but
I think it's that.
No, we're
on top
with some of their. We recruit, like, there's a lot of crossover in the recruiting, so we know a lot of their guys just from recruiting, and they're good, and they're good kids. Like, a lot of respect for them for sure, you know. So it'll be another challenge. And I mean, the bottom line is this: like, if we don't fight any harder than we did last week, we won't win another dual meet for a long time. So it doesn't matter who we're wrestling, what their skill level is. Like, right now, our focus has to be on, let's get back to the core of our program. And that is, you've got to outfight somebody. Like, if you're not a better wrestler than them, you can live with it. But if you get outfought, like, that's not acceptable here, especially when you wear Army across your chest. Like, that is not okay. And that's on Kevin Ward. Like, that's me, you know. Didn't have them ready, but we're going to have them ready.
looking forward to it. Saturday, right?
Sunday this weekend,
Sunday.
right? Yeah, Sunday. So, you know, our fans know by now, like, Tuesday nights we sit here and we talk wrestling. And then
It could be Saturday. You never know. There could be a change between now and then.
There's like a 30% chance. I'm like the meteorologist. I have a 30% chance it's going to change. I said today I want to wrestle Sunday. Tomorrow I may be told it's changed to Saturday. I don't know, but check your junk folder. That's where my emails probably go. and check our website. I'll send out an update.
Well, hopefully Nick Haley is he's happy with the weight by weight kind of introduction. So he sent an email out to.
Nick's been a big fan of ours. Yeah, he's been a really good supporter. General Haley, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the questions. He's been a really good supporter since I've gotten here, and I know he's a big fan. He's really interested in our program. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that he asked a couple questions, and there's the breakdown. Maybe we get him on the show, talk some Army wrestling sometime. I guarantee you he's a tough critic too. I've talked to him a few times. He's a tough critic. So BRO, you and him, I may need to bring some backup if I come on the show and it's
we'll get him and Chick on at the same time.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to pick my own like tag team partner for this one because I'm gonna need some help.
I've never met a general that isn't a tough critic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point, I suppose. Yeah.
So I feel like this is a question Nick Haley would ask. So we've had some fluctuations in the lineup, backups in. Like, who haven't we seen in the lineup that you're like really excited for? Coming up that maybe that fans don't know about, but you're excited for either like maybe later this year or next year.
Really, man. Really good question. I think we're so deep at 141 right now that you haven't seen Julian Sanchez in the starting lineup. He's a freshman who's really talented. Now, he had an injury first semester, which kind of limited his training, and he didn't get as much time on the mat as he would have wanted. He's back now. It's just a matter of like you don't have 4 tournaments to get experience. Like, he's back, but we have battles for the starting spot, so he's got to make his way. Like, if he wants to be the guy this year, he's got to prove it. He's really good. So you haven't seen much of Sanchez, who's really tough. As we go through, you haven't seen Ben Pazook on the mat at 174 yet because he's back from injury now and he's like training his way back into shape. You haven't seen Clay Filden, who's one of the hardest workers, in the room as a freshman. He's at 174. Bennett Paulson at 197. Our fans are familiar with Bennett. Him and JT always battling. So Bennett hasn't been on the mat as much this year just because it's a different season. But I mean, there's no question, like, we've got some really tough and hardworking and talented guys that, don't get the mat time this year. What I will say is this, like, I don't know if this is, I may have said this last week, I'm not sure, but this isn't the most talented freshman class that we've had since I've been here, but it's definitely the hardest working, and it's not close. Like, their maturity level, their skill level isn't the highest. Their experience level isn't the highest, but their maturity level in terms of the way that they work. It's easy to say somebody works hard, but like, what does that look like? These freshmen don't look like freshmen when they're training. And they've just, they might need a little bit more time to have that breakthrough, but we've got the hardest working freshman class that I've had.
Is that just who they are, or is that attributed maybe to leadership on the team? Because, I mean, they're not even in a regular training environment, so that's kind of an interesting thing to hear.
That's them. No, it's them. And sure, the leadership on the team, that when you look over and you see what Lane Peters is doing, or you're working out with Lane Peters, like, you can't help but want to be that, but no, it's them, it's I always, when you're recruiting, I always say there's 2 things you can't replace in your recruiting. That's good high school coaching and good parents. Like, it doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, you can't replace that. So the fact that these kids come in and they work like they do, and they're more mature than most freshmen around the country, that's them, that's their high school coaches, that's their parents. That's not us. We can develop them from here, but what got them to this point, that's their character.
Well, a lot of faces to look forward to next year. It'll be the year of the sleepers, that's for sure.
Yeah, but listen, like, that's not a luxury we have, right? Like, I'm like, let's look forward to Sunday. It's so easy, especially coming off a loss you don't like. It's like, well, next year's team is going to be – no, you can't do that. No. You can worry about that next year. But right now, it's this week's team.
Yeah, JP, stop worrying about next year. Let's worry about this Sunday.
Get him,
I just mean because
B-Row. I was waiting for B-Row to get out of line. He's been so well behaved.
There's no opens this year, so it's like these dudes, nobody knows who they are.
B-Row, get out of line. Let me hear go at JT like that again. No, so yeah. Anyways, we got to focus on this year's team. Next year, we're going to be we'll cover that. Like in April, we'll be focused on that. But right now, it's this year's team.
Well, we got some questions, Bureau.
We do.
Fire away.
Before we get started, today's Kevin's birthday. I kind of totally like glossed over that for like the first 20 minutes of the episode, and I was like, wait, we haven't even announced that. So happy 30th to Kevin.
Yep, I appreciate it. I'm hanging on to the mid-30s, still mid-30s. So I'm in mid-30s until I'm 40, and when that happens, I'll be late 30s for a few years. But yeah, so it's only the diehards that know. Like if you've made it this far into the episode, then you've learned. But listen, what else would I rather be doing on my birthday, than sitting here with you guys in the dining room talking some Army wrestling? It's my favorite thing.
All right, so first question. We'll get to a couple serious ones before some of the jokers come out. So the questions on Instagram, the jokers really come out and they start to just like chirp.
Trolls.
They're very.
What do they want to know? Who would win in a wrestling match, you or JT?
They just put out some weird ones. No, they're like, why is Bureau's hair flow so much better than JT's right now? And even though JT spends hours on it daily.
I don't know. I could take a shot of this right now and put it on Instagram. I don't know whose flow's better right now. So
I got mine's long. I'm really growing.
You're bringing back your jersey.
Hey, don't you guys worry. I got it. I got you.
I'm bringing back the jersey blowout.
That's a jersey blowout if I've ever seen one. You're bringing it back.
What do you got, B-Row? What questions you got?
All right, so first one, Jedediah Smith. I don't even know who that is, but
what's up, Jed?
He any chance for parents to attend senior night?
That's either Jed or Jed Senior. So Jed's a senior on our team. You guys know Jed Smith. He's wrestled. He's been in and out of the starting line the past couple of years. Unfortunately, tore his ACL in the fall, so wasn't able to wrestle this year at 184 as a firstie. This may be Jed's father asking. So here's the deal.
I recognize it with Jed. I was like, Jedediah. I don't know what Jedediah.
Yeah, here's the deal. No. Even though an official announcement hasn't been made, like there's no outside fans. We're meeting later this week as a staff and with the media department to put the plan in place and start crafting, our senior day celebration, because we need to do something worthy of this senior class. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like there's going to be outside fans coming into Crystal Arena or Gillis Fieldhouse for any of the remaining competitions.
All right. That's unfortunate, but hey, at least we got a season. That's
right. Yeah. We'll do something good. We need to honor the senior class, so we'll do it in the right way.
Jordan, you want to go to the next question?
Sure. Zach Spector asked, "What was it like to coach Tyler McLeese?"
Before he was Tyler McLeese, he was Thunderhammer. So that's how I remember Tyler. Shout out McLeese too. I just got your save the date in the mail. I appreciate the invite. Getting married July 3rd in Savannah, Georgia.
Whoa, I didn't get to save the date.
I'm sure yours is still in the mail.
Yeah.
I don't even know Tyler.
The postal service is so slow.
The ballots.
Hey, so Tyler.
Where's it at? I'll be somebody's date. I'm going to the wedding.
Yeah, I'm probably like my car's full. So, I'm not sure. Thunderhammer. I'm not going to tell you all the good stories about coaching Thunderhammer because there's a lot. But I told you guys this a few weeks ago. Like, he got a team point taken away wrestling Long Island. Did I tell you that? Because he pushed the guy. I mean, their guy was so outmanned too, and Tyler drives him out of bounds and almost breaks somebody's camera. Like, the guy falls into a cameraman, and I'm like, oh my god. And McLeese, like, come on, we beat the team pretty bad, and he was like, that guy should never be on the mat with me.
So I know that story because I never met Tyler, and he was. We got connected down here, and there was a combatives tournament, and the rules were obviously you could do chokeouts and all that kind of stuff, but as far as striking, you could open palm slap to the face, and you could close fist strike to anywhere below the neck. And so we get to the finals, and besides the fact that he tried to do like a full drill match with me, I was like, you need to stop. He goes out there and fights this kid and pushes him into the speaker and knocks the speakers over, and then like drives him into the bleachers. And the tournament director like tries to kick him out, and like I had to like talk him off the ledge and all this stuff. And then it was literally probably a slap that was heard around the world. He hit this kid so hard with an open palm smack. It was like world star hip hop level.
Did you have video of it?
Someone does.
We've got to find it. If you're listening, we've got to get our hands on that
Whoever
video.
has it, send it. He hit this kid so hard, he almost dropped him. That it was supposed to be 2 out of 3, like best 2 out of 3. The kid was like, I don't want to fight him again.
Done.
Like, I don't want to fight him again.
Thunderhammer's
On the
never
island all over again.
around.
So then afterwards, he's like, oh, I got to tell Coach Ward about this. This was just like my LIU match.
Yeah. Well, he basically open palm slapped a cameraman at the edge of the match. We bumped McLeese up to wrestle heavyweight a couple times. He's an 84-pounder. We bumped him up. I've got to share the picture too. We wrestled Sacred Heart, and they had a full-size heavyweight. This was before their team's kind of what they are now, so they weren't as competitive. And we may have won like 8 of the 9 matches up to heavyweight. And Tyler was roughing the guy up so much, like so much blood time. Their coach was finally like, they called it. They called it because of blood time, and McLeese celebrates. That's what it was like, Coach at Thunder. We have a picture of him. We've got a picture of him too.
Oh.
He's wrestling this heavyweight, his short little arms. He's trying to get set in referee's position.
We need to get that picture, and that needs to be the cover of this episode's Instagram post.
I'm dying. I'm killing myself thinking about it.
Oh.
We gotta find it.
All right, this one's coming from Ned Shuck. What does Coach Ward want for his birthday? His guess is a glass full of fight.
Yes, Ned Shuck knows me. That's it. A glass full of fight, 1 glass of wine, and then a lot of fight out of our guys on Sunday. So, good question, Shuck. That wasn't a plant. I promise you. I didn't plant that question, but he knows me. Hey, back to Tyler McLeese because I can't get this out of my mind. You guys are gonna love it. This guy, he's wrestling a full-size heavyweight, and they're trying to get set in referee's position, and Tyler just can't like get his arms. It's the best, and then Tyler wins on blood time and celebrates. It was the most Thunderhammer moment ever. I loved it.
All right, this question's for B-Row. It is Kim Sasbo. Probably butchered your name. Sorry. When is B-Row getting his BHAW tat?
This is revolving in circles. So I'm going to get my tat when I have a graphic of a of the tattoo that I'm going to get. And
That's all he's waiting on, folks.
You're supposed to be providing that graphic so I can get it tattooed on my body.
What are you gonna get? Are you gonna get like stencil font? How are you gonna do it?
I don't know exactly, but so the template tattoo they have right now, I just don't like it that much. Yeah. I want to get it on my right leg, my lead leg. I need to get it sometime between now and Midlands, so that next year when I wrestle in Midlands 2021 #, it shows. As long as I get it, I mean, I don't even have to wrestle in the tournament. I just have to register and get a picture with me with some kind of singlet and the tattoo there.
Let me translate this for the viewers. He wants a tattoo on his leg, so when he wears high shorts, chubbies at the BHAW tournament, when he's coaching, they can see it. All right.
I'll probably
I'm calling BS on this too. B-Row, if you go to Midlands, you're freaking wrestling.
I'm wrestling.
If you think there's any chance that we see you there and don't make you get on the mat and compete,
I'm definitely wrestling Midlands next year, if unless COVID's a thing. But
we just had this conversation in the office the other day with a couple of wrestlers in there, and they were all talking about, we talked about all their gold chains. We're like, what's up with the chains and the tattoos? And D'Angelo, Coach D'Angelo is like, well, I got a couple chains. So D'Angelo's wearing the chain. So I tried to rock D'Angelo's chain there for a minute. I couldn't do it.
I got a gold pin with my mask on it now.
Look at you now.
Yeah, look.
You could wrestle. You could come back and wrestle again.
Gold
Wow,
chain.
So we were
nice.
talking about the gold chains and tattoos. I was like, man, maybe one day, like, I got to get the BHAW, like,
Do it.
but I got to get, send me the graphic, B-roll. Maybe we'll do. I mean, I don't have any tattoos. Maybe that'll be the first one. Just, the BHAW. I was like,
That'll fire up the fans for sure.
not that they would ever see it, but
We'll do a fundraiser for it.
fundraise. Yeah, think of a catchy title. How can we fundraise for tattoo money?
We need something more catchy than that.
Yeah, that's not gonna do it. That's what I'm saying. You guys can think about that one. So anyways, B-Row's getting his tattoo pretty soon. What else?
Rudy BZ to Major Chalednik wrote, when is the Army Wrestling bake sale? I know Rowan makes good brownies.
Did you get a new brownie pan? Did I see you posting on Instagram?
I did, yeah. My aunt gave me one for Christmas that had this thing that you, it's already pre-cut. So you don't actually have to slice it. It's perfect.
And you get really excited about that.
Oh yeah. I haven't perfected it though. I've made 2 batches of brownies with them. And I still need to figure out the right temperature because it changes the thing when it's not all together. So now I'm usually it's 350 for 45 minutes. And now I have to mess with it a little bit.
So what are you doing? Are you doing single fudge, double fudge brownies?
I can't really divulge my secrets.
Okay. Right.
They're the world's best brownies. S Slick Willie. Slick Willie's had a million of them. All
right. World's best at the Army Wrestling Bake Sale.
Yeah. Next time I'm up there, I'll make a batch.
Okay. All right.
I'm surprised you actually haven't had it. I made it some last time and brought them to Willie's house.
I've actually had them a few times. I've stayed at your house when you lived in North Carolina and you were so pumped to share your brownies with everyone.
when Kyle Snyder came down to do his clinic, they did a Q&A and they asked him about his nutrition and he gave a shout out to my brownies. He's like, I don't really follow my nutrition per se. I had 40 of B-Rose brownies and they were awesome.
That was
I got it on air too. I got it all on air.
It's not bad.
What other? I think that's it for the questions. We didn't have that many. Did you get any from your responses, Kevin?
I didn't even check. I had a busy day today. I don't think I checked my phone much.
Let me see if anything came in since we were doing this.
So, yeah, man. If there's no other questions, I can just say that, so we got a couple dual meets left, and that's it. So we're at home this weekend against Bucknell, and then we go on the road against Lehigh. We haven't been on the road. Think about this. We haven't been it's almost February. We haven't been on a single road trip yet.
So for the road matches, and sorry to interrupt you a little bit, Kevin, but
well, you're not that sorry. You wouldn't have done it. So,
but I just had to get it out because if I might forget. For any of the road matches, are fans allowed? So for Lehigh.
So that would be up to the host school. So we only have one, and that's Lehigh. I'm not sure if they're allowing fans or not. Probably check on their website, call their ticket office or whatever.
Just see if they're allowing media for the BHAW live action.
Yeah, really good question. I'm not sure. The EIWA tournament, I don't believe is going to allow fans. I would be surprised if anywhere in the Northeast really is opened up to a lot of fans. I watched dual meets in the Midwest and some wrestling going on in other parts of the country, and man, there's fans. If you watch those football games the other night, Kansas City, I don't know how many fans they had in the stands. It's just different. You don't see that, in New York.
For the Iowa duel, they were showing fans in the I don't know if you saw the Iowa duel, the Iowa Minnesota.
No.
Friday night, but yeah, fans were all in the stands. Masks were down. They're parents are screaming. They show they were really good at finding the parents of the wrestlers. They were not really good at finding the parents of the wrestlers and telling them to put their masks on correctly.
Well, how are you going to find them if they have their mask on?
That's a good point.
Yeah, we'll save the whole COVID discussion for another time. But yeah, it's gonna be hard to have fans in. But no, man, I'm looking forward to it. What a challenge this weekend. Bucknell's always a good team. Whatever, it's always a dogfight. Even when we've been heavily favored or they've been heavily favored, it always ends up being a complete scrap with Bucknell. And I love that. We've had some fun dual meets with them over the past couple of years. I look forward to another one this weekend.
Heck yeah.
All right, guys. Yeah, I appreciate it. We'll follow up next week. Whatever. If anybody else has any questions, comment, below. Send them to us. We'll be happy to answer them. Until then, go on. Let's beat Bucknell.
Awesome. Again.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.